Welcome to the latest episode of the Stable Masters Last Race. Okay, what we're going to do this week is we're going to cut through all the info flummery about how great I am and just get stuck into it. You've been waiting 2 weeks for this one, so first off, apologies for the delay getting this episode out. It's something I quite often say on the podcast. However, with this, I'm determined to make sure we get them out weekly. The only issue was that Phil was away playing golf over the weekend and we couldn't get it done to get our schedules to meet because both of us have been extremely busy because we've been looking at houses and things like that, which I'll come to in a minute when we talk about what's been going on. But let's dive in and get stuck into the training data. Okay, I know it's really exciting me walking and talking about weight loss, but that's going to pick up. We're also going to have a look at the subject of mind over matter as well. So kick off with the training stuff. So over the last 2 weeks, I've dropped a kilogram each week. I'm now down to 76.2. So I've dropped 6 kilograms in 4.5, 5 weeks, I think it is. So I'm happy enough with that. The primary reason for that is through intermittent fasting. Last week, I only ate once a day in the evening, so at 6 p.m. every day, and that's having the desired effect. I cut back the running part, which I'll come to in a minute, but the weight's going really well. Still no alcohol, and as I've said on the previous episode, I won't be drinking again. It's been really easy actually to get rid of that. I think something that's probably helped the weight a little bit is the smoking, because the smoking kind of staves off the hunger pangs and things like that. However, I have noticed since I've cut down on the smoking that I am getting a little bit hungrier. So I'm going to try to make the most of this while I'm still smoking, and I'm very nearly finished with the smoking. The plan was that today would be my last day. That didn't materialise, but I think I'll be down to about 5 cigarettes today, and then by tomorrow I'll be off the cigarettes completely. So it'll be interesting to see what weight I am at the end of this week, because I have a little sojourn planned for a tropical island, the island of Koh Samet, where I was back at Christmas. It's a 5-star resort. It's absolutely fantastic. It's stunningly beautiful. And yes, you'll be seeing lots of tropical island beach porn on Instagram. And also I'll post the highlights on here next weekend. Also, I've worked out how to do the YouTube thing myself in terms of the uploading, because I can't rely on Phil all of the time. You know, he's going to be all over the place playing golf and things like that. Something I need to learn, which hopefully I'll have sussed and be able to get this up after the recording. So, smoking wise, thank you very much for all of the people who've commented on Instagram and Facebook and messaged me on Final Surge and emailed me about tips for cutting down on smoking and packing it in. I'm trying to do it so without using anything at all and just using sort of mental fortitude, as opposed to me just being seriously mental, but it hasn't worked. So, and I'll come back to that about mind over matter as well. Now, it is possible obviously to give up smoking without doing anything, and a lot of people do it. I think what's happened with me with the smoking is I've just got into this habit and routine of smoking in between certain breaks that I do with my coaching. So with the coaching, what I do is from 8 o'clock in the morning until 12:30, I'm commenting on people's runs on Final Surge and dealing with emails. And then from 2 p.m. until 9 p.m, I'm doing coaching calls. And in between those coaching calls, I'm commenting on runs, and then I'll go and have a cheeky little cigarette. So it's breaking that habit. And I mentioned before about Phil saying go for a little walk in that time. But what I'm doing now is I'm going to be focusing more on just doing some work as opposed to going for the walk. So we'll see how that goes, but I think I'm going to have this nailed tomorrow. So tomorrow, Tuesday, is D-Day for cutting back on the smoking. Now, another reason, obviously, apart from that it's not a good idea to be smoking because it stinks and it's not good for your health and all those sorts of things, is it's impacting my running. Definitely, I'm at the stage where I've realised that the weight and the smoking combined are preventing me from pushing on a little bit. So last week I managed to build up to 3 times 1k, although I didn't do 3 times 1k, I did 2.5, and I'll come to that in a minute. But I was thinking to myself that when I actually did, in fact we'll stick with that now, when I did the 3 times 1k, so that's 1k as slow as I can go, followed by a 200 metre walk, and we're talking about 10-11 minute miling here, that the first 2k were fine. The heart rate was a lot lower than it normally is on the 400s and 600s, but halfway through the third K, something just didn't feel right, and the heart rate wasn't too high, but my legs just felt awful. And I'm not sure if it's a combination of reducing weight and the smoking. It felt like it was more to do with the smoking, so I stopped immediately, and then had a little bit of a think about it over a couple of days. And what I've decided to do is wait until the beginning of May before I do any running, because I was thinking about this. I should be able to run continuously pretty easily at 10-minute mile pace. So I think it's a combination of the smoking and the weight. So the idea will be to get a few more kilos off by the end of April and be a week or two off the cigarettes as well, and then restart the running. So that's kind of going to be the plan. We'll see if that works. And then once that's going, then I can crack on and build up the running, so I can get up to the 35 minutes easy and start progressing it out to the 65 minutes easy with a long run of 90, and then start training properly. But the exciting news is that Nutch and I are going to be moving soon, and the lease is up on our house pretty soon. And as most of you know, Phil and Benny, Phil's girlfriend Benny, are upstairs in the house and we're downstairs in the house, and then we sort of share everything together, like play pool in the swimming pool and things like that, and cook and eat together. But the children, Phil and Benny, have grown up now. It's time for them to find their own way in the world in Thailand, and we've kind of agreed to get sort of separate houses. Some of you may have seen my post on Instagram about the house where Nutch and I will be moving to. It's absolutely beautiful. It's great because it's really important for me to have a nice house and a nice swimming pool and somewhere decent to run, because I'm not going to be going out the way that I have previously, because I'm not drinking anymore and I'm not particularly interested in going out for meals and things now. The main focus is work and running, and also to spend some quality time with Nutch, which I'm going to be doing too. So the place that we got, it's about 40 minutes away from where we are now. It's south of Pattaya, so it's on the way to a place called Rayong, which is where we get the speedboat across to go to the island of Semet, where we're going on Wednesday. It's in the countryside, it's in a compound all by itself, but pretty close by there's a Panasonic or something, I don't know what it is. It's one of the movie studio type theme parks, water parks, that's nearby. So that will probably pay a few visits to there. It's also really close to a place called the Navy Beach, which is one of the best beaches in the area. So that's a 5-minute drive away. So we'll be heading down there to do a little bit of relaxing when we get some time as well. But the exciting news is, now you can tell I'm a real runner, is what I really like about the compound is it's about 1.5 miles all the way around. There's a beautiful park in the middle. There's a gym there too, a communal swimming pool, although we have our own pool, a really decent one as well, so I doubt I'll be using that, the communal one that is. But the roads around the compound are perfect for running. I won't have to get in a car and drive to a lake or a park. I can just get up in the morning, get out the door and start running, perfectly flat. And I can actually make the loop bigger by just going up and down different roads within the compound, so it's all going to be safe and in one place. So I'm excited about that, and that will tie in nicely with starting running at the beginning of May, because we moved to the new house on the 1st of May. So excited about that, can't wait to get there. And just on that, if any viewers or anybody's heading out to Thailand, drop me a message. You're more than welcome to come stay at the house for free and use it as a base for your trips around Thailand. It's 4 bedrooms, so there's plenty of space. So, you know, if you are heading out this way, and a number of people have done this already, they've come and stayed with us, you're more than welcome to. So that's that on the update to do with the running, the weight, the smoking. So something that I wanted to talk about today, because it struck me when I was doing my 3x1K and I got to that 3rd K halfway through and I just quit. And I was thinking, I wish I could stop smoking like that, just quit like that, it's easy. And I was wondering, what did I just give up? Was it something to do with mental fortitude, mental toughness, or was it the right thing to do? And with hindsight, it was 100% the right thing to do. I think it could have proven a little bit dangerous to have pressed on, and I might have needed a real chip in my heart if I'd have carried on, I think. So it was a good warning sign, and also another motivator for stopping smoking. But that also then pushed me on to the thing about mind over matter and the central governor and things like that. Now, personally, I think there's a lot of guff about mental toughness. I don't think people have innate mental toughness. I think it's something that comes through training and experience. So for example, if I were mentally tough, I would have been able to push on there in that 1K rep, but I don't think I'm that it's a lack of mental toughness, because I know when I've been training in the past, I've been able to push on when I've been struggling. But one of the things that I do ardently or firmly believe is that you cannot push beyond the physical or the physiology of your body. I don't think that's possible, and people can sort of disagree with me on that and maybe give me certain examples, but I don't think so. So with that, what I mean is that whenever I was running previously, and maybe I had a really hard workout, something like 10 times 400. Now, for those of you who do marathon training and have to do 18 miles at marathon pace, I can assure you that 10 times 400 at mile effort is harder than an 18 miler at marathon pace. Different way, but it's a lot harder. It's really intense. When you get to about the 6th rep, you're wanting to quit already, and then you have to play mind tricks and push yourself on. But physiologically, you can actually do it as long as you get the pacing right. If you get the pacing wrong and go too fast, you won't be able to finish the session. It's that simple. It's the same as if you're doing a marathon and you get the pacing wrong. You won't be able to finish. Your body will stop you, and your mind will not overcome that, because physically there's only so much you can do, and your body will prevent you from actually pushing on and causing too much damage. Now, yes, you'll find that people who are really tough, which has come from that training, can actually hold that top end there, where the mental fortitude and the physiology and physical resistance to the discomfort is married together. Now, if you say, for example, I think Fred Nurks is really tough, his mental fortitude is brilliant, he's a really mentally tough guy, and people say these sorts of things to me, but he's not. Why can't Fred Nurks get off the couch and go and run a 2-hour marathon, or a 3-hour marathon, or a 3:30 marathon? So, where does that limit come to with the central governor and the mind over matter thing? Now, yes, there are certain times where, people can be in an awful lot of discomfort and pain and can push on. But for me, that comes from training and conditioning. It doesn't come from some sort of innate ability. There might be a degree of that, possibly, I don't know, not 100% on that, but that has to be nurtured. It has to be developed in a progressive, structured way. And that comes with the training as well. I have people that maybe they've got 12 miles at 20 seconds slower than marathon pace, that's per mile, or 20k at 12 seconds per kilometre slower than marathon pace, and they find it really difficult. But in 5 or 6 weeks' time, they're able to run 18 miles at marathon pace or 28k at marathon pace, and find it difficult, don't get me wrong, but it's strange how they can go from that at the early stages to working longer and faster and still be able to complete it. And that's the conditioning of the mind and the body working in union, as opposed to separately. So I think they work together, and as the body gets stronger, the mind gets stronger too. And as I go through my journey coming back now from where I am, like from a running point of view, I would actually say my mental fortitude or resilience is pretty good, because for I know it sounds ridiculous, the 4 times 400 and the 4 times 600 at as slow as I can run, I was at maximum heart rate on probably 50% of those efforts, and my heart rate was just about dropping down so that I could go again on them. So they were pretty much like VO2 max sessions, or even a little bit harder than that, even though pace wise I couldn't go any slower and I was struggling. So the mental fortitude, the Stazza fortitude was there, but that's something I've got to work on and develop, because that type of intensity is a different sort of fortitude to something, or mental strength or mind over matter, than running 18 miles at marathon pace or a marathon. Now, people will come at me here with Goggins and all of that sort of stuff. When you're jogging, yes, okay, and as long as you're getting the fuel in and the body's conditioned to it, then there is a degree of mental toughness there, because it's quite easy just to stop. But for me, that's not mental toughness. I think mental toughness is when your body's, I suppose, in an intense situation. For me, like running a 24-hour race, I don't know, 8-minute miling, 7-minute miling, is completely different to doing a 1500 metre race or a marathon. I know people are going to argue with that, and it's interesting. I'm open to being converted on it if people can change my mind on it, but personally I don't think so. I think the mind over matter thing's a myth. I think the central governor thing's a myth. People will come back at me with the science of it from Noakes and Magnus and a few other people, but for me that's like the Garmin watches. It's all marketing bollocks. Whoops, I swore. I shouldn't have swore there. Apologies for that if it's offended anybody. Anyway, that's done and dusted. I'm not even going to edit it out because, as you know, I'm not going to edit anything from this. Anyway, so looking forward to the rest of this week, a little trip to Koh Samet. Still working as usual, commenting on runs, but we won't have great Wi-Fi where we are. It's not pretty stable, so I can't do coaching calls while I'm there. I've got a couple booked in that I'll have to go to a cafe to do where they've got more stable Wi-Fi. It could be quite relaxing, so it'll just be a matter of commenting on runs, maybe getting a few Instagram reels put together and lots of pictures down at the beach and stuff like that. But the key thing is I've got to maintain the mental fortitude, the mind over matter, get the central governor to make sure that I don't eat too much while I'm there and put on weight. On that note, thanks very much for watching again, and apologies for missing next week. That's not going to happen again. It will definitely be out every single week, and I might even be able to get some snippets up of our trip while we're away and a few other bits and pieces from the last couple of weeks to get out a midweek episode. But I will definitely be getting out the weekend episode, and occasionally I think is better to promise some midweek stuff. Anyway, take care, and when you're out there running, stay safe.